Hey everyone, welcome back to the BritHick. This is episode 27 with Connor and Aaron. Anyone who's jumped back in with us since last week, thanks for staying on board. Anyone who's checking us out new after our brush with fame last week, thanks for hopping on board. How have you been this week, Aaron?
Yeah, not bad. Thanks to anyone that checked out via Andrew WK sharing the podcast on his Instagram. Hopefully you're listening again rather than just listening to that one. So, yeah, back to normality, I guess, in regards to that. I'm alright. Most of this week has been me getting guitars. So, bought three guitars, and I've got 2 to sell. Weirdly, the day after I bought the guitars, the store that I bought them from increased the price by 50 quid. So, quid's in for that one.
Nice.
Just been ogling at some guitars and basically went fuck it and bought them. So, and this is the first time that I've actually bought an acoustic guitar from new. I've been firmly in only having electric guitars just due to not needing an acoustic, and I've kind of wanted a parlour acoustic for like 4 or 5 years, and I was just like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna get one. So I did, and it sounds great. So, and it's tiny, which obviously is the main thing with parlours. So it's not the loudest guitar in the world. It's not going to blow anyone's head off, which again is an advantage for me. But yeah, other than that, same old. Like, the lockdown restrictions easing hasn't really changed anything for me. So it's been the same up until the point before. Today has mainly been spent inserting temporary floor above my staircase, which kind of looks like a barricade for a panic room, which is quite funny. What have you been up to?
So, obviously we went to Leicester last Sunday. You took me to pick that guitar up.
Fuck, I've completely forgot about that.
So we've both acquired guitars in the last week. So now I've got 2 of the same Schecter, basically, for the band. I meant to message you about that, actually, because what's quite interesting is obviously they're exactly the same model.
Yeah.
But I think this must be slightly later in the production run because it's a fully satin finished neck, where the other one's like semi-gloss.
Oh, okay. Oh, I mean, the other thing potentially is that the one that was semi-gloss was actually played more.
Oh,
it's been
actually
glossed over time.
You can tell it's like a lacquer.
Oh, okay.
And this is like fully satin. And I'm not sure if it's a rosewood board compared to ebony or if it's just a grain. But I thought it was quite interesting to note. Anyway, everything else is exactly the same.
I mean, it's when it comes down to like fretboards and stuff, when you're playing distorted music, I find that there's less and less variance in tone.
Yeah, I mean, I think the neck is more of a part of it. Like the neck joint, like the joint method and the material. Like, especially when you're talking about a maple neck compared to like mahogany. Definitely noticed that difference. But yeah, I just thought it was quite interesting whether they did change that later down the line or not. But yeah, no, really pleased with it. And also been playing the Lead 100 loads, which I grabbed that in the kind of downtime when we weren't podcasting.
Yeah.
If anyone listening is into like guitar gear and stuff, I've managed to pick up an old Marshall Lead 100, which is basically a MOSFET head kind of, and the circuitry is basically patterned off of the JCM 800. So it's a 1985 model. And it sounds wicked. Like, I thought about selling it because I wasn't really using it much, and I set it up properly the other day over gate and stuff, and it just sounds huge. You've heard it, Aaron, over like clips and stuff I've sent you.
Yeah.
And it's the best like Marshall sound that I've played through. I think even compared to like the TSLs and stuff that I've played through, like I think it sounds better.
Yeah, there is something to be said about like the old analog-y style transistor amps. But then both of us kind of know that we prefer solid state when playing live anyway, so it kind of leans towards the sound that we like. It's just a shame that Marshall don't do those, and they ended up going completely like D-class digital with their solid state stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see whether they ever did do it again, because obviously Orange have done like the Crush 120, and that's like really popular, and that's been really well reviewed. That's an all analog solid state head with like a digital reverb, but everything else.
Yeah.
And that's similar to the Lead 100, where obviously that's modelled on the JCM. That's like the Crushed 120s kind of modelled on the rock. Like, is it the Rockaverb or the?
I think it's the Rockaverb rather than the Thunderverb.
Yeah, it's the Rockaverb circuit, but just translated into like a MOSFET form, and it's just like obviously similar concept. So I'd be interested if maybe the popularity of that kind of spurred them to do it. Like I think it'd be a really good product to reissue or re-release, because they've really got it right with that. I know the it's a very different sound, but I know obviously the original Valve states are pretty highly regarded for like extreme metal and stuff. But if you just want the big Marshall like rock sound, like you can do metal with it for boost and stuff, like 100%. But if you just want that fat kind of like brown sounds, it's great for that.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, it's just a shame that they've kind of focused more on doing it on circuit boards rather than carrying on with that kind of stuff. But it might be just because that's how tastes change over time.
Yeah.
And maybe now there's more of a market for it. However, whether or not Marshall will clock that there is that desire and do something with it or not, but don't know. It's just, I mean, they're so diversified now with like doing all this like headphones and apparel and fridges and stuff like that. It's almost like they've lost their way a bit with putting out new models. Like, I'm trying to think of like the last new model, and I think it might have been well, they did the Origin, didn't they? And then they did the small tube heads.
Yeah, like the Studio 20 and stuff.
Yeah. And they did a new, I don't know if it was the same as the MG or they relaunched the MG series.
Yeah, I think it's like a relaunch. Like the last big kind of flagship amp I remember them putting out was JVM.
Yeah.
And that was, God, how long ago now? Like over 10 years ago?
Let's consult Google.
Yeah.
And find out. But that's the thing as well, like, the Engve head that they did was awesome. Like, it had so many features on it.
Yeah.
And they kept it as a limited run and they didn't distill any of like those features into anything else. Which is just ridiculous. (2007).
Wow, okay, so 14 years ago.
Yeah. It's just insane that it's like, oh yeah, they released the JVM not that long ago. Oh no, that was 14 years ago. It's a shame because you kind of want to support a brand that's based in your hometown.
Yeah.
But they're not really doing anything that would make me part with my cash.
Basically, what we're saying, Marshall, is reissue the Lead 100.
Yeah, reissue the Lead 100 and endorse us, and we will play them. Even though we put HM2s in front of it, so it'll sound nothing like the head in the first place.
I still need to do that, actually. Like, run a HM2 with it, just see what it sounds like.
I'm assuming it'll sound like a Marshall with a HM2 for it.
That's the classic setup, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Big rock with chainsaw. Oh, I saw. I don't know what the actual circuit is, but Lone Wolf Audio are doing a special edition jigsaw pedal.
Yeah.
That is stitched skin. Like, it's not real stitched skin, but like it looks like stitched skin over the enclosure.
Yeah, I saw that last night.
I was like, yeah. I'm wondering whether or not it's like molded metal or plastic, or if it's soft, because it looks very like detailed texturally. So I'm wondering if it's like rubber that's been stretched over an enclosure.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the profile of the guy who's making those kind of those enclosures or covers for those pedals, and he does loads of like creature work and stuff like that. Pretty cool, actually.
It might be silicon then, potentially.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. I was like, what the hell is that material? So yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because when you saw them before, when Basement Torture Killings had that backdrop that was made out of, I think it was actually made out of latex rather than silicon.
Yeah.
But it was a similar, like, rubbery texture of skin on it, and it was, like, squishy to the touch.
You're right.
So, like, it's definitely cool, but I think it's a collector's thing rather than something that could actually be played, because that would get grimy as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, underfoot. So,
yeah,
I haven't seen it.
That'd be do right. It would be like a collectible thing. They'll sell out like really fast.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen anything else like for new releases or anything. Like, I know that NAMM did their virtual thing, but I didn't really see any like new launches for anything. I think the reason that I got the two PRS Starlers for the price that I got them for was because I think they're discontinuing those colours.
Right, okay.
So I think, because I looked on other websites and they didn't have these ones, but they had a black and a powder blue, and this is a white and a green.
Yeah,
like a powder green. So I think that might be why I got them, because I got them from GAC, and then they're now £50 more expensive there, and at Anderton's they were £150 more expensive than that.
Jesus.
So
big bargain.
All in all, I'd say a good deal. And I don't know if we were saying on the podcast, but we were talking about like single cuts and how I think it was when we were in the car, like playing single cuts high is weird.
Yeah,
it looks weird. But with these, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's because of the headstock or because it's not a traditional single cut shape. It kind of looks more normal, higher.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It's a bit more straight. They're a bit more like svelte than a traditional like Les Paul.
They've got like this bit here. It's like a dimple, like a. I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
I'm holding up a guitar to my camera, but it's like not a straight curve. It like goes like that, and then it kind of cuts away.
Yeah. It's almost like beveled at the top.
Yeah. So that to me makes me think it's almost like a Telecaster-y shape with the angle of the top horn.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of it doesn't look like that thing where you see someone playing like a Gibson Les Paul like this.
Yeah. Under your chin.
It feels like that they should be playing like jazz chords or something, or they should just have a semi-hollow instead of a Les Paul. But yeah, I'm looking forward to like getting around to use them. I'm realizing that I'm still well out of practice in the like 4 months that I haven't been playing guitar. My stamina's like shot to shit. So I'm currently looking at like acoustic songs to learn how to play and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let's talk about what we were going to talk about. On Monday, I think it was, maybe Tuesday, I got emails from Line 6 saying that any G10 wirelesses bought before March 2020 immediately needed to be recalled because apparently they have been catching fire.
Oh, shit.
So, just a little bit of a fuck up on Line 6's part. Luckily, none of, like, me, you, or Lewis, none of us have G10s. We have G30s, which are, like, older, and there's been no recall on them. So the G10s are the ones that they do where it's, like, the receiver sits on the pedal board and then the transmitter, like, plugs into it.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it's, like, a little block with the jack sticking out of it.
Yeah.
And you just plug that straight in. So it's that bit with the jack on it that's apparently catching fire. And this got me thinking, and I was like, could you think of any other, like, mad things that have happened with products and stuff where all of a sudden the company has to do something that's going to lose them millions of pounds because of something like people potentially getting killed?
Not as severe as getting killed, but a big one I remember was with Sunny Delight.
Oh, right.
They had to recall basically Sunny Delight entirely and stop selling it for a while because of something to do with the ingredients, and it was basically like essentially boiled down to there's too many E numbers in Sunny Delight, like it's ridiculous. And I don't know if this was a worldwide thing or if it, obviously because food standards differ in different countries and territories, but definitely in the UK. And this was years and years ago, so this was like, I think I would have been about 8 or 9 when Sunny Delight was like first a thing in the UK.
Yeah.
And it was like massively popular. And then you couldn't get it for like a year or so. And when it was available again, it was like distinctly different, like the taste.
Wasn't it rebranded as well, so it was just called Sunny D?
Yeah, I think they did that because everyone used to call it Sunny D as shorthand as well.
Yeah.
So they just kind of ran with that. But yeah, I remember that it was quite a big controversy, I think, at the time. Like, obviously I was too young to really look at it in the news and like the media and stuff, but I remember it being like, I think like, oh, kids shouldn't be having this, like it should be banned and stuff like that. It's probably worth like reading up on like properly, but I do remember that being like a big thing that happened.
I got a vague recollection that they were saying that they thought that it was causing like hyperactivity, like permanent hyperactivity problems with children.
Yeah, and there was like the urban legend, which I think went around every school, like, yeah, I know a kid and he drank too much of it and he went orange. Like,
and thus Donald Trump was born. Yeah, I do remember that one, but it was one of those things where like my parents were just like, why do you want that? Just get actual orange juice. So we didn't have it, we just had actual orange juice.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I had like 2 flavors and I couldn't work out what the difference was meant to be. They had California and Florida, as flavours, but they were both orange drinks. It was like, how do you have variations of flavour in an orange drink?
Yeah, it does like California flavour, and what was the other one?
Florida, I think.
That's it.
Yeah.
And they come out with like a blackcurrant one as well.
Oh, really? Going after the Ribena market.
Yeah, you can't fuck with Ribena though.
I swear that they're the only ones that actually do pure blackcurrant juice.
I think so.
All the other ones are like blackcurrant and apple.
Oh, yeah. I'm just reading up about. I'm just googling it quickly to try and get some better details. You know, it was only. What do you think the fruit content percentage was in Sunny Delight?
I'm gonna go with below 50%.
Yeah. How much do you reckon?
What are we talking about? Like puree? Is it like puree or juice? What's the actual? What does it say in the ingredient list? What is it?
I haven't got an ingredients list, but it mentions it in this article. Like what percentage was actually considered fruit content?
I would say like 20%.
4%.
4. Fucking hell!
Wow.
God, that's atrocious.
That is mental. Fucking hell. Right, so I'm just having a quick peruse because I've put Sunny Delight banned, and it's come up with it has come up with the urban myth about it got banned because kids turn orange. It's like no, obviously that was a lie. Then they say that's not true. The rest was like corn syrup more or less. Jesus.
Should say as well, if anyone's listening that's in America, corn syrup isn't a thing in the UK. Like, it's not a common sweetener.
Yet. How's that sweet Brexit going?
Yeah.
How's those sweet food standards going? Apparently a 4-year-old girl in Wales turned yellowy orange because she was drinking 1.5 litres of it a day. That's insane. 4 years old, probably should fucking die. That's awful.
Are we sure that that's not that she got jaundice because her liver just couldn't take processing what was in it?
Mad. Right, okay, so I was a bit wrong. So there was loads of bad press, obviously, because of this rumours, and then people were like, actually, there's like barely any fruit content in this. It's like a chemical flipping cocktail, basically.
Yeah.
So they lost their sales halved and they rebranded in 2003. So you were kind of right, actually. And then they relaunched it again in 2009, and it contained 70% fruit juice, no artificial ingredients or added sugar. And then the sales are still going down, and it was too expensive because of all the being primarily like juice.
Yeah.
And then in 2010 it went back down to 15%.
Fucking hell.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so I was a bit wrong on that one. There was just loads of controversy around Sunny Delight, and it took a battering in sales, but it didn't get banned. So sorry about that, everyone.
But then I thought that it had got banned. When you said about it, I was like, oh yeah, I think the food standards, that I thought the food standards had got involved and were like, yeah, you need to sort it out. So I guess
they're saying when it was first launched, it was outselling like Coke and Pepsi and everything.
Yeah, it was definitely flavour of the month, pun intended. In the primary schools and stuff. When I remember it being everyone didn't give a shit about carbonated drinks. It was all about fucking Sunny Delight, essentially.
Sunny D.
which is ridiculous. It's who makes up that's a thing?
Yeah.
It's like Pokemon cards. Why did they get popular? It's who decided
Mad.
that shit got popular. So I guess that Sunny Delight was kind of like what happened with Turkey Twizzlers.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Turkey Twizzlers actually got banned.
They stopped making them.
Yeah. Because of public outcry. And now they make them again.
Fucking Jamie Oliver.
I think they've started making them again, haven't they?
Yeah, they bloody have. And Jamie Oliver's restaurant's all closed down. Who's laughing now?
Ridiculous. The first one that I thought of was Furbies.
Yeah.
Again, kids like fucking a craze for kids. They had a product recall because they were catching fire. You're going to see a theme in a minute.
I was about to say, it seems
about things.
Loads of things setting on fire.
It's catching fire. When I was working at TK Maxx, they had a product recall for something that caught fire as well. And obviously TK Maxx don't make their own stuff, but something that they had bought and was selling, they had to do a recall on. I think it was like, like curling irons.
Oh, yeah.
I think they were catching fire. Or they didn't have enough protection that if you left them on the floor, like, the ground would catch fire.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the Furbies one, I think, I haven't done any research on this one. The other ones we'll talk about in a minute, I've done some research into. But I think, yeah, there was some kind of, like, the electrical in it would short in, like, a certain batch. And because it's made of fur, it would catch fire and it would burn the fur off of it.
Jesus Christ. Just what you want. What was the I can't remember what manufacturer it was. There was a really big recall of like a certain car like a couple of years ago.
So this is on my list of things. I think okay. I've got a couple car ones on my list. So this is just the first result. So we'll go through them, but this is from an investment website. So this like take the bias as you will, because it's talking about like stocks and shares and shit like that. They've got this. It's an article from 2018. So I don't think there's been anything major in the last 2 years, like in regards to like global recalls. And it's quite US focused, but I guess it would be because there's going to be a lot of money in the US market.
Yeah.
So we'll go down like and discuss them. There's a few pharmaceutical ones, so we'll kind of go through them as and when. So, funnily enough, I was watching a video about this recently. Tylenol in the 80s got completely recalled by Johnson & Johnson because what it turned out is that there was a serial killer that was lacing Tylenol packs with cyanide.
Fucking hell.
So the original thing is that. So in the article that I'm reading, apparently this was like the first proper like product recall for like all of something like straight away, and it was, I think it was in the Chicago area. Basically, people were dying, and they found that they all had Tylenol. So then they didn't know if it was the fact that there was like a massive breach in like company wide in the pills, or if someone in the factories was distributing poison via Tylenol. But it turned out that the killer, that I've now forgotten the name of, and it doesn't have it here. 7 people in Chicago area died. Johnson & Johnson spent $100 million recalling 31 million bottles of Tylenol. And it turned out that basically a guy was buying bottles of Tylenol, lacing tablets with cyanide, putting them back in, resealing the bottles, and then putting them back in drugstores. Jesus, man. With like no rhyme or reason. It wasn't like trying to get anyone specific. He just was doing it. So there was, I guess, interestingly for this, there was nothing that the company had done wrong. It's just that they got targeted by an external factor. And yeah, it cost them $100 million to pull that off. But it says here the swift action of recalling the product saved the brand as a whole, and the stocks recovered after 2 months.
Fucking hell.
So the recall was the right choice.
Yeah,
in that one.
That's pretty. I never heard of that. That's insane, actually.
Let me find. I can't remember the name of. Oh, so Wikipedia, it's Chicago Tylenol murders. The killer was never found. Which I guess in 1982, CCTV is not going to really be a thing.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, got away with it. What a fucker.
That is mental.
Yeah. So then we've got, here we go, Peanut Corps of America. So guess what they make? Peanut butter.
Peanuts!
Peanuts!
If you don't get that reference, you're too young.
Or you're not from the UK.
True, yeah.
So here we go. So they were a peanut. Sorry, they didn't make peanut butter. They were a peanut processor company that distributed peanuts to other companies.
Right. Okay.
So this was in 2009. It seems like something happened to do with their factory, and they distributed peanuts with salmonella.
Oh, you don't want to be doing that, boys.
No. So apparently hundreds of people got sick. Oh, I've just turned on my Siri somehow. Hundreds were sickened. 9 people died. And this is the crazy thing. More than 3,900 products from over 360 different companies had to be recalled because of this.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's a considerable fly in the ointment.
Yeah, just a touch. Salmonella in the peanut butter, as it were. Apparently, because of this, peanut butter sales were down by 25%. And it cost the respective companies involved over $1 billion.
Ooh, big oof. Fucking hell.
It's just, that's one of those weird ones though, isn't it? Because it's so far up the chain, and it's such a modern phenomenon having, because up until I guess post Second World War, if you had something, most of the companies were there from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's this company does this part of it, then it gets shipped to another company that does this part of it. Then the last bit, packaging and the label getting slapped on it, is is another company. So it's quite a modern issue, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's like that thing as well when they say about, I can't remember who the fuck was saying it now, but it was basically about store brand bread, that it all comes out of the same place. It's just that the more expensive bread is first refusal.
Right.
So they get to pick the best bread, and then the next rung down goes to the next supermarket, and then the rung after that goes to the next supermarket.
It's like meat and stuff as well. A lot of that.
It's just all processed centrally, which I guess I wouldn't really call it a product recall so much, but foot and mouth and BSE, and stuff like that, because it was just hit everything because of the way that produce is transferred.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of going off on a bit of a tangent on that one, but yeah, definitely if there was less, is it called spoke and wheel or hub and spoke, where it's like a central processing and then it goes out to several places. If there was less of that, then that particular recall wouldn't have been such a problem. And I don't like peanut butter anyway, so fuck all of you. So
we're having
right.
words after this.
Mate, Biscoff. Get the Biscoff in instead of peanut butter.
They're not even the same, Aaron.
Don't care. They're both brown and they go on toast.
So does chocolate spread.
It's a different shade of brown though.
Oh, here we go.
I don't mind satay though. It's weird. I'm just weird. Like,
that's cool. I was like on a similar thread. Like I really do like cheese, but I'm really particular about melted cheese and stuff.
Okay.
Like not including pizza. That's different. But melted cheese like added onto food. Like, I don't like too much of it. Like I'm really like when there's all those videos going around online of like those restaurants where they just get the big cheese and like scrape all this melted cheese into it. Oh, they're actually livid. Like it's like you've absolutely just fucking ruined that.
So yeah, I agree. Like when I was running a bar in London, we had that, but it wasn't. We didn't do the fucking wasteful overspilling cheese.
Yeah.
So we had the raclette, and then you scrape it. For us, it was you scrape it onto potatoes.
Yeah.
And it was just potatoes and cheese on top, basically. Which was nice. But yeah, the one that was like, check out this burger. Oh, we've just completely we've drowned it in cheese sauce.
Cheese should be an addition, not a fucking feature.
Yeah.
I've got strong feelings about this stuff.
The one where I would say that like cheese being a feature for a burger would be like a Juicy Lucy.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know what a Juicy Lucy is, it's there's cheese inside the burger, so that when you cut the burger open, the cheese like oozes out. That is primo burger. But when it's too much cheese, not all about that. But also, I love cheese, but I really dislike a lot of cheeses.
Yeah.
So blue cheese is a big no-go for me. And like washed rind cheeses. So like Stinking Bishop, and things like that. It's one of those things where I don't know if you have something similar, but if something smells really strongly and then it tastes of nothing, I get really annoyed. So Stinking Bishop has this ridiculously awful smell, right?
Okay.
When you eat the cheese, it tastes of nothing.
Oh.
It's like a really, really mild, soft cheese. And they're like, why?
I've been pranked.
Why does it smell so bad? Because of the washed rind, but the cheese itself tastes really mild. It's like I don't want that.
No,
I want it to taste like it smells. I don't want to differentiate between the two things. But I'm boring though. I really like extra mature cheddar.
it's fine, mate. Like.
Yeah, it's like. Gotta go for cheese tastings and stuff, and then people are like, "Oh, so what cheese do you like?" And they're like, "Cheddar, really, really strong cheddar." They're like, "Not anything else." It's like variations on cheddar. Like, I'll say different cheeses, and they're like, "Yeah, that's just cheddar, but with like." There's a Welsh one called Ifenny, which is cheddar cheese, but with mustard seeds in it.
Oh, nice.
Tastes great. And I'll say about that, it's like, yeah, but that's another cheddar cheese. I'm like, yep.
I know what I like.
What? Yeah. Smoked cheddar, unsmoked cheddar. Lancashire poacher, Lincolnshire. Yeah, they're all kind of the same, like hard, strong tasting cheeses. Right, let's get back onto recalls rather than chatting about fucking cheese.
I've just seen while we were talking, like when I was trying to find the car one that I had in mind. This is an article actually that's from today. Tesla have had to recall some of their Model S and Model X vehicles because of a computer fault that shuts down the safety features.
Oh shit.
Mate, it's Skynet. The cars are trying to kill us.
Did you see that? I didn't see anything about the product recall, but I did see that like one of Elon Musk's startups has done like released a video of I think it was a chimpanzee.
Oh yeah, I saw something about this
with a chip implanted in its head. And it was playing a video game by thinking.
Fucking hell. Like,
not advocating animal testing here at all, by the way.
No, yeah, I've just got very mixed feelings about that. Not even an animal testing thing. It's just like, why are we doing all this shit when like there's like a meme. Well, it's not a meme. I guess it's kind of like a meme format going around at the moment. You've probably seen it. It was like, Elon Musk or similar has just done this like mad thing, and someone was like, all we want is healthcare. And it's just like, yeah, that's well and good, man, but why?
The thing is, though, is that I mean, can he provide?
Oh no, I don't mean I don't mean him personally should be sorting out healthcare for the United States of America, but it's just things like that, and just think, oh fucking hell, man! Like, all right, that's cool and it's impressive, but to what end? And also, it's like, how far is like too far with stuff like that? It's like, and it's a whole different it's a whole episode's worth of conversation, but the whole like mission to Mars thing, and it's just like, yeah, that's cool, but there's massive problems on the planet we already live on in terms of the sustainability of the planet, and everyone's like, oh, let's try and land on Mars and look at colonising Mars and what have you, and it's just like, maybe we should sort out this one first. But
well, they don't want to sort out this one. They want to colonise Mars so that they can own the land there while Earth gets destroyed.
Exactly, and that so many people are like, oh, it's amazing, like he's doing all this cool stuff. I'm just like, yeah, all right, it's just like playing with his toys a bit, innit? But I've got really kind of mixed feelings about Elon Musk. Like, we've discussed it before.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just, I don't know if that's because like he's trying to, or the company that he's funding, because he's not fucking doing it. He's not a neuroscientist.
No, yeah.
Whether or not they're aiming for like digital uploading. Not that that's going to be any time soon.
Yeah.
With anything like that, but I don't know whether or not that's potentially their end game. Which would be, because then you end up with like that sci-fi thing of like a planet-sized brain that's like an entire population's worth of people that have just uploaded themselves like into a computer, and they've just got automated machines to look after the computers, and then the population's just inside a massive computer.
Can I play Doom with my brain?
Potentially in the future. Or potentially in the future, your consciousness can be in Doom, and then...
Oh, that'd be a bit hectic, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So instead of playing a game, it's you are in the game. Forever. Well, not forever. Imagine being stuck in Doom forever.
I mean, yeah, it'd be problematic, to say the least. I'd rather be stuck in something like Pikmin or...
It's like when people talk about like sci-fi like universes, that like everyone wants to be in their fictional universe apart from people that play Warhammer 40k.
Oh yeah.
People that are like, into Star Wars and Star Trek and like Lord of the Rings and stuff, you ask them, was like, would you be up for like going into that universe? They'd all be like, yeah. It's like, ask someone that's into Warhammer, do you want to go into the 40k universe? It's like, definitely not.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't want to live indentured servitude eating blended up people that have died in the city, and work until I can see the bones in my hands.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Could just work for Amazon if you want to do that.
I don't know.
Don't guess we won't get a sponsorship from Amazon now.
No audible sponsorship anytime soon.
Sorry.
Yeah, fucking. I don't think Amazon have got to the Soylent Green level yet. Maybe one day. I don't know. There hasn't been an Amazon City yet, so they're a couple steps behind Japanese companies.
Yeah, that boggles the mind. That kind of thing.
Toyota City. Madness. Oh, speaking of Toyota, what a segue. I did not mean to do it.
No, you did, because we're pros.
Product recall for Toyota in 2010, so this might be one of the ones that you're thinking of.
Maybe, yeah.
It was a product recall because in some Toyota cars, the throttle would get stuck to the floor.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, I remember this. This is what I was thinking. I thought it was more recent than that, but, it is that one.
So they can't confirm it, but it may have been involved in the deaths of 89 people.
Yeah.
They had to recall 8.1 million vehicles at a cost of $3.2 billion. Oh, sorry. No, the recall was $2 billion. However, they paid a $1.2 billion fine to avoid prosecution in America for covering up what it knew about the ill-fitting floor mats.
Fucking hell.
So it got away with gross negligence because it paid a $1.2 billion fine.
Sounds fair. That was meant to sound a lot more sarcastic than I actually said it. Whoops.
That's a mad one. It's like, imagine driving your new Toyota and letting off the throttle and being like,
still going.
Still bloody going. And just not being able to lift it up anymore.
Oh,
just like
free speed.
Nothing. Free speed.
Free velocity.
Just... Yeah, I don't remember that one. The main one that I remember, and I'll skip to it now because I think it's like one of the most costly ones. Volkswagen lying about their diesel emissions.
Yeah, that was more kind of recent, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was 2015.
It was definitely a Toyota one I was thinking of because I was like, I'm sure like people died because of it.
Yeah. So it had put in software in its cars to circumvent like regulation checks.
Hacker man.
I don't know if are you hacking something if it's your own software?
No, I just like saying hacker man.
That's
that chimp, hacker man.
Yeah. Excuse me. So again, this is like US based, but it was international, wasn't it? It used software so it could cut emissions to meet standards when being tested. However, under real world conditions, the engines emitted pollutants up to 40 times above the levels allowed in the US.
Fucking hell. I didn't realise it was that bad. Like,
it's just ridiculous. It's like not even like, it was twice as much. It's 40 times as much.
That's actually awful, isn't it? That's proper Done and dirty.
So, they recalled 11 million vehicles, and it cost them $18.3 billion. And then I'm just reading through it. So, yeah, essentially, and there's a lot of stuff in particular with this one that happened out that it triggered a lot of other stuff, because Volkswagen Auto Group, aka VAG, owns a lot of other companies. So
Yeah.
they own Audi, they own Lamborghini, they own a fair few others that have gone out of my head. Porsche, they own Porsche as well, I think. So in regards to motorsport, they withdrew their they withdrew factory support from like a lot of international motorsport,
Right.
to focus on on rebuilding their image away from motorsport, to be like more cost conscious and away from like pollution and stuff. So the only one that they re-entered up until very recently was Formula E. There's a Porsche Formula E team. And then they did an electric Volkswagen Pikes Peak car that broke the record for Pikes Peak. Again, 100% electric, so no emissions.
Nice.
So they've been like diverting really heavily away from petrol stuff up until very recently. They even withdrew their like Le Mans cars and stuff, even though those were like hybrids and everything. Also, in the UK specifically, if you look at the change in how the government was viewing diesel vehicles.
Okay.
So if you look up until just before that point, there was like bursaries and stuff to buy diesel cars, and because of the better MPG and everything like that. After Dieselgate happened, if you look at the costs of like, congestion charges and like the low emission zones and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm thinking mainly for London, but I think there are a few others in other cities now as well. Diesel vehicles are treated much more harshly than petrol vehicles.
Yeah, they are.
And I would say that is a reaction to what happened. Because I think it came out like a year afterwards. But I am just going off the back of my own knowledge, and I haven't researched this, so I could be completely wrong. But I have a feeling that the stuff that happened with Volkswagen kicked off a lot of stuff in regards to diesel vehicles falling out of favour.
Right.
And kind of, because I was looking at buying a diesel car at one point, and the general consensus is don't, because it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
In particular for diesel. Like, we know that in the next 20 years, new petrol or diesel fossil-fueled cars are not going to be sold anymore. But it seems like that diesel is going to be phased out way faster than petrol.
Yeah.
Apart from potentially stuff that diesel works towards, which is like trucks and vans, where you need a lot of torque rather than a lot of horsepower. But yeah, so I think that the stuff that happened with Volkswagen Group is one thing, and it cost them a lot of money, and it absolutely destroyed their reputation. but it caused such a massive, like the ripples like that came out from it are also massive. So yeah, wanted to get that one in there. As we're looking through them, because that's number 2. I've kind of like skipped through a couple there.
I've got one, like when I was saying at the start, like I've got one in mind that wasn't a recall, but it's not a recall, but I had to destroy stock because it couldn't be sold, basically. So do you remember the whole thing with the Gibson, like the Firebird X?
Oh, fucking hell, yeah.
So basically, for anyone not familiar with that, Gibson basically destroyed hundreds of Firebird X guitars because something to do with the batteries which are intrinsic to like the functioning of that particular guitar. It was kind of, there were a violation of I think like the state rules for like carcinogenic materials and stuff, basically. That's why they were saying they had to destroy them, basically, and there was a big hoo-ha. People were like, well, you could have repurposed them and like given them to music schools and stuff, but and it was also the methods. They were flattening them in like a steamroller, and the video got out. But have you ever seen the Firebird X?
Yeah, it's a horrible guitar.
It's fucking awful. It's literally like I've pulled it up from Google, like on the archives on their website, and it's just shit. Like, so basically, if anyone's not familiar with this, it's meant to be like a smart guitar, basically. And it had like, you know, the robot tuners and whatever a lot of people in the guitar world we kind of familiar with. They weren't a very popular invention anyway. But it was like fully software integrated. So it had like it had Ableton and Guitar Rig 4 like connectivity like in it. And it had like Bluetooth compatibility and stuff. And then it had like all these built-in effects and like all these toggle switches and faders and stuff like on the guitar, like what you get on the side of an electric acoustic. You know, you got the faders on the preamp for your EQ. They had them on here, but like for effects parameters. So you had like modulations and compressions and like you had a piezo on it and stuff, or piezo, however you want to say it. It's just a mess. Like, I just
makes me think of one of those like old BT Rich bitches from like the 80s where it's just got all the toggle switches on it.
Yeah, but it just looks so much worse. Like, it's awful, man. It looks like someone's chiseled it out with one arm, like tied behind their back. It just looks shit. And this probably cost about $5,000.
Yeah, they weren't cheap either. Yeah,
man.
I think the list price was $3,500 or something like that.
Yeah, I honestly can't think of someone who'd be like, yeah, that's awesome. I really want one of those, and I'm gonna make use of it. It's just awful. Like, this is probably like pinnacle of when Gibson absolutely like lost their way.
I think. Was that before or after the year where they put robot tuners on everything and they redid the Les Paul signature?
Oh, I'm not sure if it was before or after, but yeah, that was a bad move as well. Just like, no one wants that. Like, no one wants a Firebird X. Like,
I'm sure they're worth something now, but.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised they just destroyed all that stock because they knew they weren't going to shift it.
Well, that's what people thought.
Yeah, because.
And knowing Gibson's track history, it could be that they just did it and then said that there was a problem.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, let's just say it was because of this, but really,
it's just because they needed the warehouse space.
Yeah. Because they weren't they were not going to be shifting for toffee.
No, fuck no. If the store, if they've still got them, it means that the stores don't want them.
Yeah.
Which has just made me think of another product recall that's happened this week, which we could go into a conversation about. Nike have demanded that all of the Satan Lil Nas shoes are returned and destroyed.
Yeah, because of, what is it, like, what are they saying? It's like copyright infringement or something.
So, well, this is the weird thing, right? There are definitely a lot of fashion houses that take Nike shoes and redesign them and sell them on. But now they're saying that, now Nike is saying that that's illegal and that they're not allowed to do it because of the shit that's happened because of these particular shoes. There's nothing even fucking mental about them, isn't there? There's like a drop of human blood in them and there's a pentagram on them.
Yeah.
That's, as far as I can tell, that's it. That's what's on them.
I think they're just peddling Nike, to be honest. I think they're worried about the association because of all the controversy, what was happening with Lil Nas X and whatever, which is absolutely hilarious. Like, in fact, he's wound so many people up. And I think if I'm going to put my cynical hat on, I think they don't, even though it's not Nike producing those shoes, like, by association, like, I don't think they want the brand sullied, for want of a better word, because they probably, especially after, like, when they had the backlash over, even though I agree with them, backing Colin Kaepernick, I don't think they want to take a financial hit again.
No, but my thing is that if they had just got put out and they just went, well, they're not official Nike shoes, have at it, like, do what you want with them, but they're not, and just basically formally say those aren't Nike shoes, rather than what it's ended up being, which is just this ridiculous court case. And
I think they've just gone into hyperdrive, like brand protection, because I just think they're just shitting it about losing any money and stuff because of what happened previously.
But this is the thing, is that they stood by Kaepernick, which we would agree is correct.
Yeah.
And they've backpedaled on that, and now they're like so scared of that part of America, essentially, that they're just like, no, we're gonna spend millions of dollars on a court case, so that 660, it's literally 666 pairs of shoes, that have been modified by a third party don't get out, because at one point in time there were Nike shoes. It's like, how about you just put out a statement saying they're not Nike shoes, they're not backed by Nike, we officially just distance ourselves from them, post it on all of their social media, done. Then they haven't spent any money. I don't know. It's so over the top. In like the response that they've had to it.
I think the point you just made as well, they're so worried about falling out of favour with that portion of America, like, you know, who the portion of America that are upset by Lil Nas X because they're idiots.
He's a black man.
He's a black man and he's gay.
He's a black gay man.
Exactly.
He's a black gay man with Satan. Oh no!
It's all right, mate. You can hang out with us. We like you.
How many more like primal white American fears do you think you can hit?
Yeah, I think honestly, like, I again, it might sound cynical, but I think, like, basically what you said about there, they don't want to lose that portion of their, like, customer base, because they know it's a majority of their customer base. They're like, they're willing to spend this money on a lawsuit and stuff, because it, like, they're happy to use them as, like, a scapegoat, because they know it will curry favour with those people.
The hilarious thing is it's that part of America that don't use their products as intended.
Oh yeah, of course. But do you know what I mean? It's all that. It's all comes down to money and like who like they don't want to risk losing that dollar, I guess. And it's easy for him to be like, yeah, we're going to take him to court and whatever. And it's people unfortunately, a lot of people will back that kind of vindictiveness. Like, yeah, he deserves it, and it's just like, oh, fucking hell. You know, I just think it's really funny, like how triggered he's got a lot of people. Exactly the kind of person that uses snowflake as an insult.
Yeah.
So they can get...
Unlike you snowflakes, I'm not so easily offended.
Yeah.
Gay man releases rap video with Satan in.
Oh! I love it. Like, it's just funny. Like, fair play.
It's just so crazy. There's, again, now that I'm thinking about people that use the snowflake tag and say about people getting easily offended, fucking hell if people aren't getting up in arms about people joking that Prince Philip's died.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one actually, because I get it on both sides of this one. So basically, obviously it's no secret that I'm not a royalist by like any stretch of the term.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely a line where things you should be able to joke about anything within reason. You know.
Yes.
And some of the stuff was really funny. Like some of the memes and stuff were hilarious. There's one that Harry put up, actually. It wasn't even a meme. He's the only person I've seen that's done it, so I think he made it. But it was just a picture of the butler in Tomb Raider 2. Yeah. And he's like, R.I.P. which I thought was fucking hilarious. But there's some things which are funny and they're tongue in cheek in that. But the only thing, and I haven't said anything, it's just like I can't be asked of it. Like I basically removed myself from social media unless it's to do with a band. But there's some stuff where it's like people haven't shared jokes or made like a maybe tongue-in-cheek joke or a bit of a dark humour joke. It's like, oh, it's just pure vindictiveness. It's like, cool. Loads of people I know and loads of people within our circle especially, and people like out in a wider range of circle like aren't royalists and are very against the royal family and that's cool. And like, but they at the same time we don't all go out and like spit absolute bile about it, and I think some people it's just they'll use it as a green light just to like, it's like the opposite of being a grief thief. It's like you're just using it to like platform your view but in a really vindictive way, and that I'm kind of like, look man, you don't have to like the guy at all, like and I don't mean it in a cold way. It's like Prince Philip dying has had no impact on my life. I don't know him. He hasn't. He hasn't done me any wrong, and he hasn't done me any favours. And I don't like the royal family as an institution. But I don't need to go on the internet and be like, yeah, he fucking deserved to die and all this. It's like there's jokes, and then they're just like being spiteful. I guess maybe I'm just getting softer in my old age. But jokes are one thing, but it's just like when it's just like, yeah, he's a cunt. It's like, all right. Cool, you're well entitled to think that, but do you need to like broadcast it? Like, is that achieved anything?
Well, the operative term is was, because the man's dead.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like... Yeah.
But I mean, people are like, oh, well, what are the people going to think? It's like, well, first of all, he's dead, so he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And his family aren't going to read your fucking status. Like, let's not make no bones about it. Like,
but MI5 will.
Oh no. But, I mean, the people that I've seen put, like, fucking horrible shit about, like, I don't know. Just think, like, whenever you saw that there was a gaffe by, like, Corbyn or Diane Abbott and stuff, these are the people that jumped on that shit straight away.
Oh, yeah, of course. Like, there's definitely hypocrites, like, big time.
It's like, oh, no, like, the man's dead, like, respect it. Blah 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 blah. It's like you're the ones that have previously said nothing's above having the piss taken out of it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I think people really pick and choose their hills when it comes to stuff like this. So, for example, obviously DMX also died yesterday. R.I.P. DMX.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I know 100% who have been like really like late going in 2-footed about Prince Philip, like, and just like and being like vindictive and whatever. I've been like RIP DMX, and like if you said, oh yeah, but DMX was basically like a career criminal who happened to rap. Not that I think that, but he did do like he made a lot of bad choices and he did some like questionable shit, but he's a human being and he has every right to do that. No one's perfect. Like, and the sad thing for me is it seems to be he was turning his life around a bit in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But if you was like, well, why are you saying RIP DMX? He's done this. They'd be like, oh no, you can still say RIP DMX even though he did all this stuff. It's like, look, if you're gonna, you can't have your cake and eat it with stuff like this. It's almost like if you can dish it out, you have to take it.
Yeah.
It's that, innit? Like, and my opinion is, I'm not big on the royal family. I'm not upset about Prince Philip dying because he's not my family. And then equally, I'm not celebrating. It's just like, it's happened. It's a shame for them. Cool. Doesn't affect my life. Equally, I think it's really sad that DMX died. Yeah, he did some bad shit in his life, but there's people who've done far worse who are still alive. And, you know, it's like, it's not for me to judge his life decisions, but his art that he contributed had a massive impact, and he was a very talented person. And you know, it's not like, oh, you can just say, oh, he was a bad person. It's like, yeah, a lot of people do make bad choices.
Yeah, I was reading up because I didn't know a massive amount about him, if I'm honest, and I didn't realise that, first of all, he was sexually abused as a child growing up up until the age of 13. Then when he was getting into gang stuff, his mentor basically tricked him into smoking crack.
Yeah.
Like, he gave him a joint and it had crack in it, and he didn't tell him. So he was addicted to crack by being tricked.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember if it's that the mentor was shot dead or was shot by police when he was in the back of a police car.
Jesus.
Same, like, as a teenager. So a lot of shit happened, like, in his formative years. Like, you have to think, like, 13, 14, 15, 16, like that kind of time. And then before then with the sexual assaults and stuff that were performed against him.
This is the thing as well, man. Like, even not disregarding, but even putting that aside, it's like, you know, being abused and stuff like that. We've kind of addressed this before when we've spoken about hip hop and rap, especially like hardcore rap and like old school rap and stuff, and a lot of how those people came up and like the environment they were born from.
Yeah.
You can't judge it through a lens of our experience. Like, I'm not saying you are, but when people need to know, like, oh, he did bad stuff, it's like, yeah, you had to do that stuff, otherwise you wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
You can't judge it in the same way as like living in the 3 counties in the UK. It's not the same at all.
Yeah.
Like,
and I know that he has said homophobic stuff in the past, and it's like, well, he was living in the US during the Reagan administration, which was very anti-LGBT.
Yeah, and there's so many. Is it
an excuse? No, but context.
Yeah, context, and again, like, what you're surrounded by and what you grow up experiencing, and he won't be he wasn't the first, and he won't be the last rapper to have like homophobic viewpoints at some point, whether those changed or not, and that's not part of the culture. I'm like, well, that's just a thing, and you should accept it. It's been long ingrained, and it's going to take a long time for that to change. Like, I hope it does change, but you can't crucify people because you can't crucify them because of that. Like, you have to. I think a lot of people pile in on rappers and people within like the rap community and stuff with their own moral compass, not really realizing like there's a lot of layers to the culture, and it's not it's not as liberal as some things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like we were saying the other day though, like about metal, there's so many right-leaning attitudes in metal, and people seem shocked by it, and it's just like, no, but when it's rap, it's like, oh yeah, well, it's so ignorant. It's like, no, man, like you just need to like you have to look at things in a bigger picture, and you have to really like understand like cultural differences and like and stuff and attitudes and how you and whatever. And it is like it's I couldn't write an essay and explain it all. Like, you know, it's a very complex thing.
I think it's difficult. We're on the outside looking in. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not for us to try and disseminate it, I guess is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I think the general, going back to the general thing before, is that if people are like taking the piss out of stuff, like think about all the memes when MJ died.
Yeah.
When it's that stuff and people are like, oh no, actually I don't think you should make a joke about this. It's like, yeah, but you literally posted this about someone else, like the same kind of thing. Oh yeah, but you know, different person. It's like, no, you just want to fuck the Union Jack. Like that's what it is, essentially.
I think pretty much, man, unless it's someone who's definitely done like inherent evil and harm, you know, like for example, George Bush, or like a terrorist or something, you know.
Yeah.
Hitler, you know, that's fair game. Like there's no defending people like that, and like fair enough. Like like take your shot.
Hitler, Mao, Stalin, Kim Jong Un, blah 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 blah. Yeah, like,
you know, it's like cool. Yeah, that's fair game. But like when it's people like, okay, you just don't like them. It's like just jokes are cool and stuff, but there's a level of venom, and it's like, or even if you don't like them, it's just like if you're gonna be one of those people like, well, you can't say that about so and so. It's like, okay, just don't comment then. Like, don't say it about anyone, because otherwise it's gonna blow back on you.
Yeah,
you know.
Also, for all of the gammons out there, he was a refugee from Corfu.
Yeah.
So have that.
Like, it's like it's the same kind of vein as what we were saying last week. You know, it's even if you look up to people and respect them, and then it turns out they've done something like shitty, do you stand by that, or do you acknowledge like that's not okay? And it's the same as like, oh, okay, I might respect this person, but then other people don't, so they might make jokes or that I see in bad taste, but do you just accept that, or do you take it as like a personal bloody offence?
Yeah. It's just that, I think that's the thing as well, isn't it? Is that like how are you taking this as offensive?
Yeah.
Like, why is it that it's rubbing you up the wrong way when it's about someone that you don't know? I think is, and it's not like he was someone that, obviously royal family and all that stuff, but it's not like he had a lasting impact on the world as a whole.
No.
So
this is not relevant to our podcast, but Lewis has just messaged me. He's actually broken his ankle.
Oh, fucking hell.
Shit.
By tripping up the stairs?
Yeah. And he did it a week ago.
That's like when I broke my wrist.
Man.
I waited a week before I went to the doctors. They're like, nah, it's probably fine. They took an x-ray. It looks all right. Get a phone call 2 hours later. Nah, it's broken.
Bronk. I can't believe he's broken his ankle. Oh, God.
There's one thing as well, which is And I don't really think it's like needs to be brought up massively. Is that where's his birthday turn June? There was a nearly 6-year difference between the two of them.
Yeah, I saw something about that last night. And
so I think he was like 17, 18 and she was 13 when they started courting.
Player! No, I'm joking. No, yeah, I mean, it's such a dodgy one because let's be real for a minute. Obviously, like, the way relationships are set up in the royal family are not normal. It ain't normal.
Yeah, should probably preface with this, with their strings being pulled a lot of the time.
Yeah,
when it comes to stuff like that.
There's that, and then also you think as well at that time people were getting like. I'm not saying it makes it okay, not at all. It's just it's a weird one. It's like people were getting married when they were like 14. Then.
Yeah.
Like mad shit like that, which now you'd be like, what on earth? But again, it's context and point in history are important, but also, that's not entirely cricket, but, you know, it's... And also it hasn't happened within the remit of like a normal social circumstance. It's very odd.
Yeah, and before anyone tries to clap back with, but X, Y and Z rock stars, we fucking know.
Yeah, we've done that as well. We've called that out big time.
I think we've covered that before.
Yeah.
But yes, we are aware of them, and same thing applies. So fuck them too, essentially.
Yeah, it's all just a bit of a madness, isn't it? Like,
yeah. So I mean. Again, as per usual, I've gone on a massive tangent.
It's what the people want, mate.
Yeah, they don't want to hear us talking about actual stuff. They just want like random fucking tangents about shit. I'm going to close off with two product recalls. So I'll go straight to the biggest one, which was a company called Takata.
Okay.
I think I want to say they were mainly vans. I just want to see what it was. If it actually did. No. So Takata were a parts company. So they made parts for cars.
Okay.
They had a recall on airbags. And essentially the reason being is that the airbags would eject shrapnel that has been linked to at least 20 deaths.
Who made the airbags? A fucking IRA?
Oh, don't get me started on that, because that's all kicking off again. God. She'd add as well that it's not the IRA that are kicking off an island, it's the loyalists. So, but so there have been 37 million vehicle recalls in the US alone. Globally, 100 million airbags are under recall. This started in 2008. It could take until 2023 to recall and fix every vehicle. It cost, up until 2016, it cost Takata $24 billion, and the company itself has gone bankrupt.
Jesus Christ. To be fair, that's a pretty big gaff.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's like, oh, this thing that's meant to save you is the thing that actually killed you.
Two things you don't want combined: airbag, shrapnel.
Yeah. That's like, you know, when I'm just thinking of, you know, those cartoons where you've got the fireman going around with the trampoline if someone's like going to jump out of a burning building? Just that, but made of spikes.
just a pungy trampoline.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That is literally the worst thing. I'd rather have no airbag and just take my chances.
I think most people would.
I'd be like, oh, not the steering wheel or face full of metal.
Yeah. And this is another one that I remember happening and kind of chuckling a bit because of previous history. So we're going in full circle because this is something to do with things catching fire. The Samsung Galaxy Note 7.
Yeah.
Back in 2016, was the entire line was recalled and discontinued, if I remember correctly, because they were literally the batteries were catching fire in them. And I think that the reason I chuckled about it was because that was at the time that Samsung and Apple were at each other's throats.
Yeah, it's big
about various things. Yeah, and I can't remember which way round it was, if Apple did it or if Samsung did it, but one of them was ordered to pay a large fine to the other company, and they delivered it in dumper trucks of pennies and dumped it in front of the headquarters of the office, just all in pennies. I need to find this article because I've just been reminded about it. Because I can't remember who. Oh, here we go. So it was Samsung. So big lad points to Samsung for this. Samsung paid Apple $1 billion by sending 30 trucks full of 5-cent coins.
Jesus Christ! Just trying to picture that, like how many. Oh.
And Samsung's statement afterwards as to like when it happened and everything, and like I don't know if there was an outcry or whatever, was kind of a universal shrug of the shoulders and well, they didn't tell us how that we had to pay them $1 billion. So lad points to Samsung. However, they did make a phone that needed a recall because it was catching fire. So that was 2013, and then the recall was 2016.
It's a bit like the was it 2008?
Yeah,
it's a bit like the 2008 World Cup. It's like Italy lost, but everyone remembers the headbutt. No, France lost, but everyone remembers the headbutt more than Italy winning. Samsung lost, but that's better.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's fake.
Oh. Probably started by the same person who thought Sonny D turned yellow.
That saddens me greatly. But I guess you probably need more than 30 trucks to do $1 billion in 5-cent coins, probably.
I guess it depends how big the trucks were.
It's the size of a small planet. I don't know. So Samsung, your lad points have been removed. You just had a shit phone that used to catch fire. I guess I should just do to see if there was like any. Can you think of any Apple product recalls? The batteries. They got caught fucking around with the batteries, didn't they? Apple.
Yeah, weren't they basically building them to be like, what's the word? Planned obsolescence. So they felt they basically deteriorate purposefully over time, so you buy the new phones.
Yeah.
Bloody bastards.
Also, supposed deliberate processor slowing on newer versions of the operating system to make the phones appear slower.
Right.
Yeah, so they got busted for that, and then they had a period of time where the batteries could be replaced for free. Shady Apple, man. Did I tell you that I went for an interview there, like, when I was a teenager, and they won't tell you anything in the interview?
How do you mean? Like,
they won't tell you how long your breaks are. They won't tell you how much you're going to get paid.
Really?
They won't tell you, like, your contracted hours or the length of time. They won't tell you the expected footfall of the store. Nothing. They won't tell you it.
Seems fucky to me.
In the interview process, they won't tell you it. Whether or not that's changed, because I'm talking like I went for an interview when I was like 18, 19.
Yeah.
So, maybe even younger. Fucking hell. Can't remember. But yeah, like, alarm bells in the old noggin going off when I was asking like quite rudimentary questions. And they're like, no, we won't tell you that unless you're successful. It's like, so you're going to tell me that I've got a job, but I could potentially just have a job that's like 10 hours a week at minimum wage. It's like, well, potentially.
It's like, yeah, I don't want to work for Apple that much, mate.
No. No tar. Thank you very much. But yeah, on that bombshell, I guess we should close up for today.
Close up shop.
Yes. If you have persevered through this ambling, meandering, curmudgeoning list of product recalls that we've been discussing, whilst interwoven with refugees from Corfu and gay black rappers
and DMX
well done. I give you a gold star. That could be redeemed next week, where you can get another episode, and if you watch that one you get another gold star, and you can redeem that one for the next episode, and so on and so forth ad infinitum. We're on all the social media platforms. You can listen to this on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, maybe, I don't know, via our website and YouTube and all that MacGuffins.
If anyone's listening from Audible, hit us up.
Yeah. we had plus 200% listener rate or something like last week, so we're obviously on the up. So give us a sweet sponsorship ad plug that we can throw in. It will pay us for, I was going to say like coffee for a week, but I don't drink coffee, so I don't know. A bacon sandwich every morning.
Biscoff spread.
I'll have a big jar of Biscoff. You can pay me in Biscoff, that would be great. Cheers. All right, everyone. Thanks very much. We'll catch you next week.
Cheers.